I'm going to start by toning the whole canvas. I think I'll do it with a little gray. I have some Tory gray that I've added some white to, and I'm just going to cover my whole canvas here. Now, of course, this background color will change. This is just to give me something that's not white to work with, to better judge my colors. When all you've got is white to judge your colors with, I'm going to move my brush stuff over here so I've got it. This is just watered down with solvent. I use turp and walnut oil. Okay, got that. I think I'll focus in a little more so you can see what I'm doing here. Hopefully my arm doesn't get in the way too much. Not real good at recording these things. So, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my palette knife and readjusting my peach. He's decided to go wandering on me. And kind of just sketching where he's at. You probably can't see that, so I will go over that here in just a second with a little bit of red iron oxide or something like that. I'm going to just kind of sketch it here so you can see it. The advantage of just going in with your knife and doing it is you don't have the color to work with. Just those little lines. Okay, that's kind of where it's going to set. I can see already I've taken and put the peach right in the center of my canvas. Not the best thing to do. But I'm going to offset that with some shadows and different things back here. So now I'm going to get working on my peach. I've got a studio visitor. Okay, Kayak and Beethoven now have their treats, so we can get back to painting. Right here, putting in some base color. Okay, I'm using yellow ochre for the underpainting. There's a lot of yellow in this peach, and it'll just warm up the other areas also. So I'll be painting over this a lot, trying to make my brush strokes go in the direction of the shape of the peach. Now there's kind of a crease right here where the pit is. I'm going to just kind of mark that as it goes down. I'm starting out real thin here. If you've seen some of my work, you know I like to have thick paint, but it's easier to correct things and work if you start out pretty thin, and then you work your way into the thicker, more vibrant colors. Just wiping off some of that with a piece of paper towel. In the studio, I use all kinds of paper towels, whatever's available. When I'm out plein air painting, and I do a lot of plein air painting, in fact, next week I'll be up at Glen Arbor, Michigan at a plein air competition, which I do every year that I can get into it, and I've always gotten in, so I've been fortunate. When I do plein air painting, I like to use Viva paper towels. If you're a plein air painter, you probably already know this, they don't unroll. The wind catches them, they stick together, and they don't unroll and go scooting across half of God's creation, and you're chasing all this paper because you don't want to pollute the environment. So, plus it's very absorbent and I just like it. So usually in the studio I have it too, but if I'm in a pinch and I can't find it, then I just get whatever's available. Doing this. Now with the peach, probably the darkest part is going to be right in here inside that little pit thing. A little bit along the bottom. So I'm adding these darks now. Not a very peachy color there, but that's what I'm going to do. Now there's this shadow area down here. All right, ready to start putting in some more basic colors. Up here on the top, this is where I see the dark part of the peach bean. It's got a little stripe that kind of comes up here, some color over this way. If you're just starting to paint, best advice I can tell you is grab those brushes and paint every day. When I get this sort of established, I'm going to go back with the fan brush and work some of this color through to kind of give it that streaky look that I see with the peach. I hear some thunder outside. I think we're getting some rain. Probably some of that leftover from the storm, was it Barry, that went across the United States here? Now, you're looking and see it's pretty streaky, huh? And what I'm noticing also is I've gotten really large over on this side, and that needs to be taken down. All right. Now at this point, I'm going to put in some of the darker background color that I want. So I'm mixing that up right now. And now when I'm painting, I don't use much solvent. Just to clean my brush with, and I usually change brushes when I want to change colors, and so don't have a lot of that going on either. One thing I've noticed about people that are just starting to paint is they're skimpy with their paint. It's expensive, And so, you know, they don't want to waste it. But, you know, whoops. Hit my camera there. You got to get some paint on there. Now this little panel I've got here, it's only single primed acrylic for this because it's just a quick demo. So I don't want to use my linen triple prime, very expensive things. And it will suck in this paint, especially if you don't use a lot of it. So I'm doing this background. Gives me a chance to see how the paint is doing down below. And because I don't use much solvent, there's less chance of it going back in. The brush I'm using is a Winsor & Newton number 4, which is kind of small. Should probably be using a bigger brush. But I don't know, this is the one I grabbed, so I'm going to kind of keep working with it for right now. One thing I notice about my work is after I go back to it a few days later, a lot of times I'll look at it and think, boy, I didn't get dark enough. I just didn't put enough color in there. And that happens because, you know, I start out light and then work my way. And sometimes I just don't go back and get those darks that I need. By going over the canvas before I started with a very light glaze, I used that gray color and went through, I'm assured that if I miss a stroke in here somewhere, there won't be white canvas showing through. It'll be a color. And I usually try to use a color that kind of works with whatever I'm painting. Now I'm going to go back over this background again, and I'm going to use a bigger brush when I do. Okay, now it's time to get serious about this peach. And I'm going to switch brushes here. I'm going to use some alizarin down in here. Pull in some of that darker. A little alizarin over in this one side as it goes up there. And up in here was the darkest. Pulling it down in, and then I'm going to take, well, my camera battery died on me there for just a second, and I had to go up and get another one. That's one thing good. I have lots of camera batteries. That's one thing. I travel a lot, and I found it's easier just to bring 3 or 4 batteries with you and stick one in if one gets slow. Especially if you're in foreign countries and the currency is different, the electricity is different, and you need to charge it. You have to bring all this equipment along to convert it to what's standard here in the US. So, adding a little bit of oranges now. And I'm smoothing out this, so I have the feel of some stripes, but not that heavy, stripy like it's a lion or leopard or whatever has those stripes. So, yes, in fact, I'm going to go to China next month and paint. Kind of excited about that. China's complicated. It's not just walk across the border and get into the country, I'll tell you. The visa process, everything. They're very particular about who they let in, and they're all into facial recognition, something we haven't been doing yet in this country. I guess the Brits have it and have all their cameras around, and what I understand, it's all over in China, so that'll be a new experience. I like new experiences. What I'm going to do is, that's just a tad bit of green right there, maybe a little more than I needed. I'm not quite sure. Now I still think I need some more yellowy color over in this one side. And peaches are smooth and fuzzy. Not shiny like an apple, but they've got a nice smoothness to them that I want to try to capture. And so, as I work here, I'm trying to think, what's the best way to do that? How can I get that color? I'm putting a little bit of that gray in that I use for the background and just touching it here and there to try to give it a soft, fuzzy look. Going back to that alizarin again. As I smooth it out, the color kind of mixes in, and I lose the darkness that I wanted right along this edge here. I don't want my brush strokes to show in this painting so much. I always go and add a little bit of that brush strokes and some heavy work somewhere. Now here, where I've got the dark around the bottom, I'm going downward with my strokes because I want to bring it into the dark. I don't want the dark to come up into my peach so much. Okay, now time to smooth it out a little. You can see I go one way and then the other, squishing down the color and bringing it back. And right down in there is where that crease was a little. Move it into here. Now with a peach you won't have highlights like you do with an apple or something because it doesn't reflect that light so much. It's the fuzziness of it. You can see I'm bringing it back over here, softening that edge. Now, what I want to do is I'm going to go back over this background area with a larger brush, put in some more dark colors, and then I'm probably going to use a fan brush just to smooth everything out a little. I do a lot of fruit paintings, vegetables, things that are easy to find in my kitchen to put in a still life. I've gotten in this wonderful habit lately of buying a fresh flower centerpiece for my kitchen table, and then I change it every few weeks, and in the meantime I get to paint it, and I get the best of two worlds. I get some fresh flowers to paint, and I get this great centerpiece for myself. Now I'm making a shadow here. Had it there once, remember? And I'm keeping it soft. I'm mixing it back in with that gray I had. And I've got this gray down here, but I'm making it a little darker. Uh-oh. Got my brush in the green by accident. Don't need that green. That's one thing about oil paints. You can try something and you can scrape it off, whatever it takes. Getting near the end here. I'm going to go back and get a smaller brush again for that shadow area under that peach. Right under, it's very, very dark. And it lightens up as it disperses. Got a little thing there, got to push him off, a little lump something. Lumpy. All right, now I'm going to do some blending with my fan brush, just along the edges here, the background, pull some of that dark down in. I don't want that line there. Whoops. back on mine. Sorry about that. Now, right up here in the front, I'm going to take my brush and I'm going to add some thick texture right in here, just for interest. I like texture. The peach is pretty smooth, haven't put a lot of texture in there. So, I'm just going to go through right here. Mix a little bit of the gray. And just put something right there. Add a little interest. So it's not so boring. You want something more than just a peach. You want a painting. All right, I think we've got it. I'm going to sign it and it's going to be done. Thank you for watching. This is Art by Delilah, and I have a passion for painting.